G'day, it's Brent Hebe here, your state candidate for Cogra, the Greens candidate for Cogra in the 2015 elections for New South Wales, with another little blog video, or my rhetorical question of the week, shall we say. So my rhetorical question of the week this week is going to be, who is the opposition party in New South Wales? There's two issues that I'm going to hold up as Exhibit A and Exhibit B, which are pretty crucial for St George moving into the March election period, as evidence of who is the true opposition in New South Wales. First one is going to be WestConnex. I'm sure that a lot of you in this area have seen drill rigs popping up all over this area. The government would have us believe that there's, I think, 100 drill rigs, whereas with a little bit of social media activity, I think the number's closer to 700 that have been cropping up around Sydney on WestConnex with their exploratory drilling. Let's avoid any entendre there. Yes, so WestConnex have been digging up all of our streets and doing wonderful things. And the attitude from most of the community is, this actually looks like a really bad idea. Now that I've got a giant drill rig in my street, I'm looking into WestConnex, I'm looking into what has come out in the press about it, thanks to people like the Greens MP Maureen Faruqi, who's been tirelessly campaigning in the New South Wales Upper House to get documents released showing things like there's very little business case for it. The usage data, their forecast usage data, has been totally fluffed around with. The idea that it's going to shave 20 minutes off your commute is complete fallacy, because even if it does, it's only going to be for about 5 minutes before it fills up with new cars and brings more congestion. The idea that a road will solve road problems, it just doesn't work. Every other country in the world knows that this doesn't work. Los Angeles, with its massive grid of motorways, is moving towards investment in public transport now, because they know that that's what actually solves congestion. So when we look at WestConnex and we know that it's an issue, we need a point of opposition to the incumbent government, to the Liberals, who are saying, yes, more motorways, let's build them. So we look to the Labor Party of New South Wales. And when pressed on the issue by Lee Rhiannon recently, they voted with the Liberals to say, no, we're not going to tear up those contracts. WestConnex is all right by us. We've got no problems. So it's interesting that local candidates like Steve Camper from Labor and Chris Minns are running around listening to people going, oh yeah, WestConnex, we're not sure about that. It's we've got serious concerns. And yet when pressed to say no, being the opposition, you would think, they say yes. They're yes, WestConnex. Yes, WasteConnex, as the case may be. So evidence A. Evidence B. Poles and wires. Being a crazy lefty person, I guess, I have this idea that because the state owns the poles and wires and they have been paid for by us, the taxpayer, over many, many years, it shouldn't necessarily be up to the government of the day to sell off that investment, which was made by us, the taxpayer. So I'm opposed to it on the grounds that it's not theirs to sell. They shouldn't be selling off something that's making us an income. But if we look at it from a financial perspective and go, okay, the money that they will reap from selling off the poles and wires equates to how much income if we look at it, the annual income. And don't even say that there's going to be any growth or anything in electricity usage. That's 7 years of income. So if you had a house that would be paid off within 7 years by the renters that were currently in that house, would it make good financial sense to sell it before those 7 years were up and you owned the asset moving forwards and it was completely paid off? No, it makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know where the Liberal Party of New South Wales got this reputation for being financial managers, because clearly no financial advisor in their right mind would say that this is a good deal. 7 years and we own it. It shouldn't be used as money. Selling off our poles and wires makes no sense to fund motorways, which are a bad investment on the second, as I talked about earlier. So we've got two issues here. So we look to Labor, we look to our state opposition. What's the position on poles and wires? Oh, hang on. No, they've already established that 4 years ago in 2011 when Christina Keneally wanted to sell off the poles and wires. So we know that they're on a parity ticket there as well. They're more than happy to sell off things that belong to us, the people, as opposed to things that belong to the government, because they don't. They can sell their desks for all I care. They're more than welcome to sell off their desks. They can sell off their chairs, maybe their printers if they want to, but leave our state-owned assets alone. They're not for you to sell. So who is the opposition in New South Wales? Well, if we look at those two issues, I think you know the answer. The Greens are quite clearly, we say no to WestConnex, we know it's a mistake, we say no to the sales of poles and wires. Vote Green in 2015.